Welcome. Welcome to the CISM course. How's everybody doing? Good. This is all the easy stuff, right? So I want to do a little seating chart, and after I'm done the seating chart, I'll pass around. We'll pass around the attendance sheet. You guys can sit behind that. So I'm gonna find out who you guys are, why you're here, and what I can do for you this week. You guys taking the exam coming up? No?
Did you
June?
sign up for it in time?
It's okay. So then what you'll do differently is you'll do this once, and then when June comes around, you get to do it all over again.
All right.
But it's still the same format. I'd like for you guys to walk out of here ready to be certified, so I'd rather have you on that track rather than, well, I know I got time, schedule. So, who are you? Why are you here? And what can I do for you?
Yeah, my name is Neil, and I support the DoD information assurance client in the CIO office.
Okay.
And trying to get 8570 certified.
Good. Okay, what can I do for you this week?
Help me so I can get certified.
Fair enough. Just checking. Sir, who are you? Why are you here? And what can I do for you?
Binoy, on a Department of Justice project right now.
You- Go ahead.
Trying to get certified. Yep, that's it.
So, have you ever been in my class?
Yeah,
What class were you in?
it's a very good question. It was Cybersecurity Foundations, I think.
Cybersecurity Foundations, right? And you know that I do things a little bit differently, being highly interactive, right?
Uh-huh.
There you go. So since he's been in my class before, he'll serve as the authoritative voice for the rest of us.
I would like to see that YouTube and that kind of stuff like that. It was very
Okay.
interactive and really liked it. So hopefully this class will follow the same.
I try to be entertaining by showing you guys just different resources that are out there. Sometimes they're YouTube videos. Sometimes we just do funny YouTube videos too, just to keep things lively in here. But this is a theory-based class, and if I were to approach this as a traditional class, like I talk, you listen, that standard instructor model, your eyes would bleed in like the first hour and a half. So what I like to do is start with the academic format, but I change the format into a discussion-based format. But then I also switch gears into, well, what does this mean professionally? So there's academically, and then there's professionally. And I try to focus on multiple types of education to make sure that you guys walk out of here with basically a very well-rounded format. So the types of education I focus on is the professional education. What do we have to do in the real world? Academically, what do we need to do to get certified? But then also financially is also very, very important as well. So you walk out of here hopefully a little smarter financially, because that matters. When you make the financial case to a business, you can influence their decisions. So in many cases, what we are is we're messengers, and we just have to put risk out there. But we're going to use the case of risk and financial intelligence to leverage what we do professionally, and that's it's going to help us move mountains, because that's basically what we have to do. We have to move mountains with basically no money. We're expected to do more with less money. So we're going to have to come up with some creative way to move mountains.
So if you practice these questions, what's the percentage chance that you pass the exam?
Very, very good, especially since you already know my testing tips, tricks, and strategies and everything else. And so this exam is, I think, one of the more straightforward exams. They ask questions like, which of the following is the best way to do things. But once you know the order of things, then it's just a matter of ordering your answers, and then you can determine best by, which one you do first. So it's a straightforward exam. It is a long exam. It's one of those exams where basically you got to sit for several hours in a silence room with the 200 other people, and everybody's freaked out and testing. And so if you've never taken a 6-hour exam or 4-hour exam, has anybody in here taken a very, very long exam, CISSP or something of the equivalent? Okay. All right, so conditioned in this capacity to understand what you have to do to pass. You know, to sit that long and think for that long. So, ma'am, who are you? Why are you here? And what can I do for you?
My name is Desiree. I'm the Information Security Manager for the U.S. Antarctic Program.
Arctic?
Antarctic.
Ooh. What goes on in the Antarctica?
Goodness, you don't want to know.
I thought there was just a lot of penguins there, but apparently they're staffing security professionals too.
It's a lot more than penguins. It's pretty interesting. I thought this course, I want to kick myself now.
Why?
I can drop out.
Why?
I thought the course came with a voucher for the exam in December, so I'm not registered for the exam in December, and I'm very upset about that.
That's
But
okay.
as you said, I'll have to do it.
No, well, look, you know, to do what it takes this week to get done, to be ready to take the exam, you know, you'll have the expectation set. When it comes to June, if you want to take it in June, there, you know, you'll pretty much have what you need. I mean, you'll know all the tips, the tricks, the strategies. It'll just be a matter of like just going through it one time and studying. And of course, I'll be here for you. You know, I'll help you.
Thank you.
After this week, that doesn't mean that, you know, Leo goes bye-bye. You can always take a trip in the land of Leo. Come visit me and, you know.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see real world.
Okay.
I work as an information security manager, and what's going on in these books.
Well, again, this is theory to practice. So the theory only goes so far. And so I'm big on the professional piece of it. I'm really not interested in just creating more certified people. I do enough of that. But I'd rather create a pool of people that I know that I'd like to work with that can help me move mountains. Because truth be told, we have an industry to change. You know, everything from the perception to it, the way people behave about computer security, you know, it's always reactive and an afterthought, and really we should be there right from the beginning. So just the attitude of what goes on in the industry, there's a lot of opportunity for change. So I'm a big person on, you know, real world experience and, you know, how do we take what we learn here this week and then go move mountains. So you'll get a lot of world hopefully. Ma'am?
I am Kate. I'm actually working the same team as Neil and supporting the DoD CIO. Interested to see how I'm going to have to change my thinking from DoD to real world application and how the questions, you know, how I would answer for DoD would be different.
Clearly.
So to make sure I'm answering the right way for the test, but also being able to apply it if I ever do go.
Right. There's definitely the DoD thinking, and then there's the rest of the world, if you will. And that's going to be your biggest challenge more than anything is for this material, you have to get yourself out of the DoD. And as we participate, you're inclined to answer in what the DoD would do. But you have to understand not only the DoD model, but all the private sector, but also the public sector as well. And, you know, because we talk about the information officer, and, you know, and the president of the company and the governance board, and not everything translate equivalently to DoD. In other words, in a company, you have stakeholders and they can influence. It happens completely different on the government side. You know, they have offices, they have boards that handle that stuff, but not to the same capacity as a company would.
It's my understanding too that 8,500 is going away, DoD, and they're going more towards NIST.
NIST, yes, that is. So the rumor has it.
I'm actually rewriting the system right now. So they're actually this went through initial stakeholder review, but going out for major review probably around June.
Fair enough. Sir?
Yeah. Yes, my name is Tobias. I support the Army CLG6. I'm here also looking 8570 and from you, even to pass the exam.
Hey, everybody always wants that piece. That's the easy part. It's the move in the mountains that we're grossly unprepared for. The test is anybody can pass a test. You know, given enough study time, anybody can pass a test. So let's not make the test the hard part of the class. I'll make that part easy for you. Sir?
My name is Chris. I work on predominantly Army client now, and would like to get out of the class some other ways to ideas, either best practices for security implementation types of things. Project I'm on now did an enterprise design and deployments of some systems for the Army, and so the next step is, as part of that, we tried to build in a lot of security things, but they wouldn't pay for a lot of things too. So that's what I wanted. If there's some other ideas of how to build that in,
Risk.
That's what I'm looking for. Well, we gave them risk, but maybe some other ideas.
How about cost? Did you give them cost?
Absolutely, that was like
Did you give them
the
the
deciding factor.
proactive versus reactive? You can pay for it now, cheaper. You can pay for it more later. And which one do you want?
Yep, an analysis of that. We didn't go into as much detail as I would have liked because we didn't have the funding to do that, but we did show them cost. We showed them what the risks were. But some other ideas would be great.
Nah, that's going to be our challenge forever. So I have my own strategies, but we'll certainly be talking about that all week long.
Excellent.
Sir?
Yeah, my name is Rishi, and I work for DIA, my client's DIA, and I do cross-domain solutions.
What's that mean?
Basically taking information from a low level, security level, to a higher one, and vice versa, putting all the checks and balances between, basically using code guards
Okay.
for transferring the data.
Okay.
And I'm actually, what I want to get out of this is how, as far as the business aspect, how do I convince key stakeholders
Yeah.
to engineer something or to follow certain policies that have to get, addressed.
Good. Well, it sounds like we're going to have an exciting class. Like it.
So still got time to register for the exam, right?
No, they cut it off. They always give you like an extra week or two, but they cut it off sometime in October. Yeah, the challenge with this class, well, with ISACA more or less, is that they only run their exams twice a year. So there's these dead zones of like, nobody wants to pay attention to CISM or CISA until basically October through December, or probably like March until June, or April to June. And so there's these big pushes, and it's like if you're not in that push window, it's like everybody else has different priorities outside of those push windows.
I could try to take this class for a year and a half,
Easily.
and there's not enough people, so Booz always cancels it. So.
Yeah, this is one of those classes where the CISSP runs all year round, and I could do 20 or 30 of them all year, if I wanted to. And then this class I might do 3 or 4 times a year. So this is a good break from CISSP. I've taught CISSP a lot. So there's a lot of crossover there that I can leverage. Well, that's that. So.
So what are once they close the window, there are no exceptions?
No, it probably would have been, I think, like the last week of October, maybe a little bit before. I forget the actual day they sent out the emails, but you have to get on that. Because what they do is they do this open registration, and for every city, and then once they get their total number, then they go book a hotel, conference room, or some sort of testing facility, and then it's a mad dash to orchestrate that together. So, if you don't make the window, that's pretty much it.
I've been delaying my exam for 3 times.
Yeah. You just gotta sit to it, and the bad part about doing an exam like this is scheduling. I mean, you just can't plan for error rates. I mean, if this was a regular prometric or syllabus exam, you could walk out of here and just schedule it at will. But scheduling 6 months in advance, sometimes I don't know how I'm gonna feel 6 months. I don't know how I'm gonna feel tomorrow, let alone 6 months from now. And so I took and failed the CISA exam in June because I was deathly sick. I got sick the week before, and I had to drive from South Carolina. I got in late, this, that, and the other, I should have never been in the exam to begin with because, you know, it's just snotty and runny and disgusting. And I had to sit there and I tried to think through it and I just couldn't, I couldn't stop blowing my nose and all that other stuff. So I was a little upset that I failed it because I don't really fail too many exams, you know, so it hurts. But I broke my own testing rule, so I don't really feel too bad, which is if you got something else major going on, if you're preoccupied, you get family problems or health concerns or you're deathly ill, you shouldn't be in the exam. You know, you need to be fresh, and I'm convinced that, well, since I'm taking it in December, you know, when you're fresh and you can think clearly, you should be able to pass these exams. But not having 100% to concentrate, that will certainly tip your result scores in one direction or another. So I had to roll the dice, basically. So this course, right, we'll learn about what the CIS, in this first module, what the CISM exam is, course elements, prerequisites, classroom setup as pretty much as you see it here, and all the facility stuff. So we'll start with me, instructor background. If you were to do a quick search for Leo Dregier, you would find a page not found. So you come, you find Leo. And so I've been a couple of different colleges, everywhere from Essex Community College, Johns Hopkins, Capella University, National Defense University. I've got a bunch of certifications or certification expertise, over 30 of them. So what normally helps out in that capacity is understanding what certifications you have. That way I can relate stuff to stuff you already know rather than reinventing the wheel. So out of the group in here, what certifications do we have represented?
ISACA V3, CISSP, PMP.
Okay, good.
Juniper certification.
Okay.
CCNP, CCDP.
Okay, so you're highly technical. Okay. Any, raise your hand if you're highly technical. All right, you got to watch out because this is more of an administrative certification rather than a technical certification. So there's natural challenges between the difference. So sometimes I'll ask questions and I'll get a technical answer from you, and then I'll try to push you to find out, well, what's the administrative point of view? The way that I describe this is, you know, you get a bunch of us in the room and we have a problem and we have to solve the problem. Well, how do we do it? You know, different people are going to solve the problems in different ways. You know, if, let's say something got stolen. Well, the technical person, if we had a laptop that was stolen, the technical person is going to say, you know, let's install LoJack for laptop and we'll be able to track the stuff. The administrative personality is going to say, well, we should have a policy in place and procedures on how to check in and check out laptops, and, you know, that way people don't haphazardly leave them around. Or operationally, let's put some sort of control in where we'd have to check in and check out the equipment. Or let's say physical or physical security. Maybe we do cable locks and lock up the equipment. So what's the correct answer?
They all are.
Yeah, they all are. You know, they're all possibles because we have different type of controls that we could recommend. So we have physical controls, administrative controls, technical and logical controls, operational controls. All that's extremely important. And not to mention preventative, detective, deterrent, corrective, recovery, and compensative controls. And I'm going to be saying that over and over and over again this week, so, you know, clearly no need to take notes right now. So you can find me on LinkedIn. Please feel free to connect if you like. My background is I worked at Lockheed Martin Incident Response. I was an incident handler at the IRS, Operations Security Officer at the Department of Labor, and I've also worked at the Department of States. And I've been teaching probably since right around 99 or so. So this is a good balance for me between professional and academic education. Normally when I teach, I gain certifications, and when I'm not doing that, I'm out working in the field, and I just don't have time for it like anybody else does, you know. So I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you get to where you need to be. All right. CISM exam. Here's the nuts and bolts, and I normally chalk this up to is we'll be talking about this over and over again throughout the week, but just so it's said formally, 200 multiple choice exam, Scantron based. You have about 4 hours to complete it. You have up to 4 hours to complete it. Some people will finish it in 2 hours. Other people will finish it in 3 hours and 59 minutes and 58 seconds. 5 major areas and percentage points associated with weight. And so whenever we can identify those, that tells us the areas to focus on, because the biggest bang for your buck. So you can better believe that governance and program management are going to be big topics. And unfortunately, risk and incident management are lower topics. And I say unfortunate because this is mostly the case that we use to move mountains, risk management, and then incident response is how do you deal with things. So you need to know how to deal with things and convince people of, that what you're saying actually makes sense. And then a lot of life cycle methodologies as well. You can take it in 4 languages, but I highly recommend English. Just a thought. CISM exam. Let's see, questions are designed to test practical knowledge and experience. You will have a scenario-based question with all sorts of references to how things are in the real world, and then you have to come up with, which of the following is the best reason to do X, Y, or Z. So you'll always be able to pick one answer being the best answer. And I have plenty of test-taking tips, tricks, strategies, and things like that. What I have found is that not that many people know how to take tests. Has anybody here ever taken a class on exam, test-taking, writing, or anything like that? Normally I get 1 or 2. You would count 2 because you were in my other class. But I don't know if we did the rules though, did we?
No, we didn't.
So then you'll get those this time. So that's good. Yeah, so let's not make the exam the hard part. Let's just make the exam the walk in the park, but that would require us to really get down and buckle down in here. So, good at certification, good for a couple years. You got to babysit the continuing professional education credits, which aren't too bad. You got 120 credits over 3 years, or about 20 minimum per year. So anybody that takes 1 class a year gets about 40 hours. So 40 times 3 would be 120. So basically, if you take 1 continuing education class per year, you're going to be just fine. Excuse me. There's a slight maintenance fees for members versus non-members, but I'll defer you to the website if you want to become an ISACA member or not. It is a little bit more cost-effective to become a member if you're going to take more than 1 ISACA exam. If you're just going to take 1, well, you probably could be a non-member, but if you're going to end up taking several over the next couple of years, it might make sense to actually be a member. And you do get discounts for early bird registration. But don't worry, not that many people make the early bird. Everybody pays the late bird fee. All right. So this week what I want to do is I want to prepare you to take and pass the exam. I also want to be able to show you some tools, tips, and tricks that will help you move mountains in the real world. There are 5 content areas that you're going to know inside and out. Those would be these guys right here. These are your 5 content areas: governance, risk, development, management, and incident response. We have lots of lectures, case studies, and things like that to help reinforce the concepts, but they're only as good as the class participation allows. All right, so you got to have verified evidence of at least 5 years experience. 3 of the 5 must be gained from performing the role as a security manager, and it must be abroad and in at least 3 of the 5 domains. And then your certain expectations, but from what I've gathered, it looks like everybody in here exceeds this requirement. All right, here's a peek into your future. This is what we're going to be doing. You have the official CISM review manual and questions on CD. Those are going to be basically your, for lack of a better word, Bible for the week. Then you also have a course book which has the slides in it and a place for you to take notes. It's basically your workbook for the class. So between the two, you have more than enough to pass this thing.
Will this change next year, as far as like some of us who take the exam in June?
Yeah.
I don't know if they've announced the change. Have they?
Yep, they have.
Is that what it is? So let's see how that's going to affect us. So this is just going to be the overview. We'll be willing to bet that that content is actually going to be on a newsletter or update. You know, don't cheat, things like that. Don't disclose anything.
Do they normally update it every year? Or?
I mean, I can tell you from the material, you know, they may change some of the test questions because they have a very large pool of test questions. But as far as the major content areas, I doubt that it's going to be a major revision. I mean, they may, you know, throw a life cycle model in, or, you know, change some of the material to more current, maybe NIST based or something like that. But I would say, you know, nothing that I would worry about. But you know, you can always see with my website. I actually can keep track of you and, you know, ping you on updates, changes, and this, that, or the other. So as I find new information, I can push that content out to you. So just being affiliated has kind of some indirect benefits to it. So I'll track this down to see if I can't find out, to see if they have like a list of, hey, we're going to do it this, and this. But the CISSP folks, they're changing their model as well. So.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, if you know.
Maybe.
ISC squared, they have an exam that's equivalent to the CISM. It's an ISSMP.
Well, the CISM and the CISSP are kind of like cousins, but they have
Well,
the auditor,
yes.
the risk, and then the life cycle.
No, I'm not talking about CISSP. The concentration, ISSMP.
Mm-hmm. That would be a concentration of CISSP.
Correct.
And there's three.
Equivalent to CISM.
Well, they have a manager's certification, architect and an engineer's. So.
No, I was just asking if you knew.
Yeah.
If they're equivalent to each other.
Not.
Because I don't see.
Whoops.
MP.
No, they're different in terms of their concentration on, you know, what they focus on.
I think they're pretty comparable to each other.
CISSP is going to be broader in terms of scope
Well,
when
not
compared to
CIS,
the
I have a CISSP.
Right.
I'm talking about the MP.
management.
Yes.
Yeah, the management. This one here.
Correct.
I mean, it's
So the
close.
content, I was just asking, in industry, I usually see CISM certifications, and I don't really see the ISSMP certification.
That would be correct.
But the content is pretty much the same for both.
This will be focused more on law ethics, where CISM will be more governance based. Business continuity, disaster recovery, would be comparable to incident response. Compliance, we get a piece of governance in there too. Systems development would be closer to program management, program development. And then security practices, it kind of stands on its own because that's more like guidelines and recommendations as opposed to like a policy or procedure. On the 50,000 foot view, that's the comparison. Good.
Run by different companies?
Yeah, this is the ISC squared, and this would be a CISSP concentration. Whether the ISACA, this is ISACA, and they're they're different altogether. That's these folks here. So the certifications that they offer on the larger side is the auditor, the manager, the enterprise technology. It's a little hard to see that, and then risk and system development or system control. So these are new exams here. These just came out, a couple test cycles ago, where these are more of the bread and butter. And this is ISACA's attempt to broaden the scope and really address certain specific issues. Risk being one and life cycle. All right. So, pre-class work. Anybody do any homework before you got here?